This is a Dreamcast disc and is for use only on a Dreamcast unit. Playing this disc on a hi-fi or other audio equipment can cause serious damage to its speakers.
Dreamcast, up to 6 billion players.
Welcome back to the stage of history.
Why don't we play together?
Hey, it's time to make some crazy money. Are you ready? Here we go!
Please stop this disc now.
Hello and welcome to episode 17 of the world's best podcast called DreamPod. My name is Tom and I'm joined by Rob.
Hello.
And I'm also joined by Caleb.
Hello, Tom.
Hello, Caleb. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Fantastic. You know, every time I hear your voice, I just get shivers up and down my spine because you've got the perfect voice for radio.
Thank you, Tom.
Rob, you can do one.
I am not needed. No, it's Caleb's voice is silky smooth and yeah, it's perfect radio voice. I agree.
Yeah, and also endorsed again by Adam Koralik, YouTube's Adam Koralik. Yeah,
indeed, yeah, totally.
Right, okay, before we start, I wanted to just quickly give Rob a shout out and a massive congratulations and pat on the back. I don't know if you're aware of this, Caleb, but in the UK, worldwide, there is quite a big magazine called T3 magazine. And in fact, I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to let Rob tell us. Rob, you tell us your big news.
Okay, my big news is that I got a new job, and the job is features editor on T3 magazine. T3 is a huge tech gadget mag. It is huge in the UK, but it's massive all the way around the world. It's syndicated out in over 20 countries, and I think it was originally launched as Tomorrow's Technology Today, but that title's not used anymore. It's just referred to as T3, and it's pretty much my dream job. The magazine runs out of Future Publishing, which is in Bath, where I live. So I'm literally 5 minutes into town, and I'm there. And I've wanted to work for Future essentially since I, became a journalist. And to be able to work now on T3 is it's going to be absolutely amazing. And I start next Monday. So I've got to sort of get my house in order, wrap up the freelance business, and yeah, that's it really. If you like your tech, it's a really good mag. It's always sort of bang up to date. On the pulse. Any sort of phones, cars, tablets, computers. Any sort of geeky stuff. They do features on anything, cameras. So yeah, it's really good. Yeah. Thanks for giving me the shout out. No,
it's absolutely brilliant that you've got this job. I mean, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass here. I do actually read T3. And I've got the odd issue floating around the house, not literally floating, but just laid around on various surfaces. So yeah, it's brilliant really to have an actual I say actual journalist. I'm sure we're all journalists in our own way.
we are totally.
Yeah, but congratulations and well done.
That sounds like an amazing job. Good for you.
Totally.
I'll get to just sort of view tech, think up crazy features, and it should be good.
I was going to say, you people listening now, we've got some real tech journalists on the staff now. So start taking us seriously, please. Not that you're not, Caleb. Sorry, I don't want to.
Oh, hey, come on! I fired a light gun at a Game Gear screen.
That was amazing.
I'm a real journalist.
That was amazing.
I wanted to speak to you about that. Obviously, it kind of works. How did you even think about doing that? For those people who are listening to this who don't know what we're talking about, Caleb put a video up on the Dreamcast Junkyard very recently of him playing House of the Dead 2 with a light gun on a Game Gear, which I thought was absolutely fantastic.
Well, basically, back in the day before the broadcasts stopped going over the signal that the Game Gear could use, I had an idea of doing a video, and so I ended up doing that when I had a bit of free time. And I probably should have done it 7 years ago. So I did that video, and then after I got done, I was like, wow, I already have this set up. And I have a Dreamcast, and I've been trying to get my light gun to work on various screens to see which ones would work. So I was like, I just tried it out, and it ended up halfway working, which of course isn't enough to actually play the game, but it's kind of interesting. So I put it up there as a video. And of course, that 5-second thing that I did, is much more popular than the video that I, put a little work into. So
that's really the way of the internet.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, so you using the TV tuner then to get the signal from the Dreamcast into the Game Gear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, the TV tuner comes out with a standard. It's crud. Now I forgot the actual terms. It comes with a standard the microphone / video out type thing.
Yeah.
So basically, it's the same cord as and then basically, I had a bunch of different. I have a menagerie of cords and stuff they use to test stuff. So I was able to just to set it up directly, and so it halfway worked.
So there's other handhelds that you could buy tuners for. Like, can you get one for the Advance? I seem to be cool. So would this work, or
yes,
would this partially work, to be more accurate, on anything where you can do that with a TV tuner?
I don't see why it wouldn't work on a Game Boy Advance either if you had a TV tuner on it.
Yeah, the Game Gear screen is a little bit different, so I was going to try it on the Nomad too, but I haven't had a chance to do that yet.
Oh, it'd be quite interesting to see. Quite interesting to see how it actually works. If it does work on the Nomad, that'd be quite interesting.
Yeah, so a lot of people were really excited, and I just have to reiterate. I've already explained in all the various places that the video was posted, but no, this doesn't actually work good enough to where you actually can play the game. So a lot of people were like, "Oh my god!" It's like, when people say stuff isn't going to work on an LCD, they mean it's not going to work properly. It still will read it occasionally, but it's not going to pick up the signal enough. So
it's always good to experiment, and that's what we're all about here at the Junkyard. Moving on slightly, we usually start with pickup, so we'll quickly run through if we have picked anything up in the last couple of weeks since our last episode. I'll start with you, Rob. I'm aware that we did do Play Expo Manchester, which we are going to come to in a second, but have you picked anything up in the last couple of weeks?
I have. Well, I won't deal with Play Manchester now, so I imagine we'll get back. We'll get back to. I only picked up a couple of things from Play Manchester. Oh, go on, I'll do it now. What did I get? While we were at Play Manchester, I got a Japanese version of the Capcom edition of Card Fighters Clash for the Neo Geo Pocket Color, which is like it's like top essentially with Capcom versus SNK characters, which was cool because I've been looking for ages. And the other thing that it's not technically in the house, but I've pre-ordered, and it's sort of come completely out of the blue, is a game for the Wii U called Fatal Frame: Maiden of Blackwater. And I had no idea about this series. I've never played any of these series before. I'm sure you guys know about it.
Is this Project Zero?
Project Zero,
you have a camera.
That's the one,
yeah.
So this is the latest one. And I just happened to be browsing the internet one day, and it was like new trailer released for this game. And I watched the trailer and I was like, wow, this is really cool. And this is actually something unique. On the Wii U, uses the second screen on the controller from what I can see from this trailer in a really cool way. And I was like, Halloween's coming up as well, and this game is got a nice hard 18 rating and looks really like jump scary. So I was like, I'll take a punt on it, and I've pre-ordered it. So I don't know if it'll be any good or not, but yeah.
Fatal Frame is interesting. I have all three of the original PlayStation 2 releases. Fatal Frame 1, 2, and 3, and it's interesting that they didn't. I think there was some issues because I think the fourth one, and again, I'm sorry, I don't know. I know one of the Fatal Frames never had a proper release in America, and people were really upset because it kind of made sense with the Nintendo's newer consoles and the motion controls that you actually use a camera in those games to look around and stuff, and it made sense to a lot of people that Nintendo would want to take advantage of this. So it's really interesting.
So how did the camera action work on those older games? Because obviously you didn't have a screen.
It was basically kind of like a classic survival horror thing. But then when you kind of equip the camera and aim it, it goes into kind of a little bit of a first person view.
Yeah. And that's it. That's it for me, guys.
What about yourself, Caleb? What's been happening in your life in the last couple of weeks?
I got a nice surprise. I went to my mailbox, I opened it up, and from a German address, I got my copy of Fruity, or however you pronounce the name of that. Is it Fruity?
Fruity.
Fruity.
So that was great. I haven't had a chance to actually boot it yet because it was literally yesterday when I got home before I crashed out, and literally I'm always impressed when I get a game and it's clearly something that's mass produced. It's I don't think I could make a quality label like this, so I'm really impressed that it cost me so little to actually get this game. It's under $10. It's crazy.
Yeah, and that was posted. Yeah,
that includes shipping. Which
shipping. Yeah, not post.
Yeah. Post. What is that?
Oh, it's just a small sort of
speak English, damn it!
Small colloquialism that we have in England.
you talking about breakfast cereal, or are we talking about mailing things?
Yeah, I watched that little video you put up, Tom, and yeah, I mean, obviously it's very, very basic, but I really like that switching mechanic with the order down the center of the screen.
Yeah, it's hard to explain how it actually works until you've actually played it. It's really sort of complicated, but not, if you know what I mean. But it's quite fun. It's basically just like a Simon Says kind of game. You've just basically got to copy what is on the other board. But then as you select different fruits, then you've got different ways that they're going to transform, which is based on what's in the middle of the screen, as you say. But yeah, it's for €2.99 or whatever it was.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
great. You know, I tell you what, I really enjoyed the music as well. I think it's so like hummable and toe tapping as you're playing along. Yeah, I'm really impressed. You're in for a treat there, Caleb, I think, when you actually start to play it.
I'm gonna just try live streaming it just to see, because that's always fun, so people can see how dumb I am.
How dumb you are.
Yeah, but and that's pretty much it. Other than that, I finally unlocked some stuff in Binding of Isaac, so I'm really looking forward to the new release of the new Binding of Isaac game at the end of the month, which is coming up soon. I don't know what the release date is, but I know it's before Halloween, so that's going to be interesting.
I didn't really get on with that game, to be honest, but I can see why people are quite fond of it.
It's an amazing mix of luck, and it's an amazing mix of luck and strategy. And, you know, it's one of those games, I don't know why. It's just like resource management is what I like about it. So it's more of like trying to just outwit the game, which is constantly trying to screw you over completely.
My pickups are pretty much all centred around Play Expo Manchester, so I think we'll move on to that subject now. For those people who don't know, Play Expo Manchester is a massive current and retro gaming event that's held in the northwestern city of Manchester every year in October. We were lucky enough to have our first event as the Dreamcast Junkyard there this year.
And I do want to apologize. There were, as far as I found out, there's a lot of people who went there expecting me to be at that booth. And unfortunately, no, I wasn't able to get my passport.
You have got a lot to answer for, to be honest, Caleb. People were literally biting the tables because you weren't there. Where's Caleb? Where is he? But yeah, we had a great time. Myself, Rob, Gaz, who couldn't make it today because he's quite ill. And another member of part-time member of the Dreamcast Junkyard is Martin. He's written a couple of articles for us, and he was kind of our roadie.
Yeah,
I'm sorry you won't mind me saying that. But yeah, it was a really good event. We got to speak to a lot of people from the Facebook group and people who read the site, listen to the podcast. I think the most heartwarming thing that happened to me was when a little lad of about 7 or 8 years old came up and said, "Oh, I like the Dreamcast Junkyard." I was like, "Oh, excellent! Thanks for being part of the team, part of the community." And he was like, "Yeah, the Dreamcast is my favourite console, apart from the GameCube." I was like, "Oh, okay." And then he went on to tell me about how he loves playing Choo Choo Rocket, and he was only he was really short, and he had one of those what's that game on the Wii with the squids, Splatoon. He had like a Splatoon hat on, and then he just kind of ran away when he told me that, and I was just like, actually quite heartwarming that a little lad of that age has come over to tell me that he loves the Dreamcast. So, fair play to him.
I'd like to say at this point, exactly on that note, that it was amazing to see the wide range of people, in terms of age, that came to the Dreamcast Junkyard booth at the Play Expo, and just were really happy, just like that kid, to just talk to you about the and why it was special to them. And it was, everything from children all the way up to guys who were in their 50s, and it really meant something to them still. And they kept coming back to the fact that they were so happy that the Dreamcast is going through this renaissance. And they were obviously full of praise for what we were doing. I mean, not to blow smoke up our arse, but guys, we know that we deliver a good product to the Dreamcast Junkyard, and it was really nice to get that feedback in person from people.
People were really impressed with the because we had the Dreamcast karaoke unit on display. People were like, "Oh, what's that? I've never seen that before." So we were talking about that. We had the Dreamcon wireless controller, which absolutely blew people away. There were so many hardcore Dreamcast collectors who were like, "Oh my god,
take
what is
my
that?"
money now. Take my money.
Yeah, people were asking me if they could buy them from me, and I was just like, "No, you have to go on eBay and check. Search for Dreamcon." I was actually writing Dreamcon, the word Dreamcon, on our flyers to give to people to go away and have a look, on eBay.
Yeah, it was absolutely great, and I mean, just like just playing Ready to Rumble. Let's just boot up Ready to Rumble boxing and playing with complete strangers. And I can remember like the amount of guys who come up to me going, "Oh man, I remember that game. I played this for hours." And they just had to sit down and play it right then. I mentioned Ready to Rumble boxing, but there was plenty of others. Exactly that experience.
Yeah, what was the most popular game? Because every time I run a tournament with the Dreamcast, it just ends up being Power Stone 2 just because it's 4 players. I think it was
probably Virtua Tennis with 4 players was one of the big crowd pleasers. I mean, we were playing a game. There was 4 of us playing just like a game of doubles. And I turned around and there must have been about 30 people just stood there watching. And I was just like, what?
What new consoles?
Yes. I'd also say that Just Dead 2, which pretty much ran non-stop for 2 days on one of the 4 screens we had running. Well, I think it did actually. I think apart from a brief stint where we Virtua Cop on the go, but really it was almost non-stop for 2 days because everyone gets that. Everyone can just pick up the gun and start firing. They know what to do. So it's really accessible. But you're right, tennis was super. And oddly enough, Res, people were sort of blown away with Res. We had this. I brought my sound system, so we got this pretty sweet bass, and we cranked up the volume on Res, and a lot of people were just like, blown away by that.
Well, because we had like a sort of dance. Was it Dance Revolution or something like arcade machine right near us where people were playing on it, and it was really loud. So we had this bass thing that Rob brought, and we were playing Res with the music cranked really high, and it was just a real crowd pleaser because people were coming over going, we had Martin playing it in like the later levels, and he was really killing it.
I was
going to say, amazing.
The one thing that helped that looked so amazing is that Martin can kill on Res. I mean, damn, that guy is good playing that game.
But yeah, I mean, overall, Play Expo, massive kudos to the organising team at Replay Events. It was an outstanding success. There were tens of thousands of people at the event, and it was great.
Sorry, Tom. Can I butt in here?
Go on.
I'd just like to say on totally non-Dreamcast related news. I know this isn't new, but this was the first Play Expo where I finally got to play Jeff Minter's TXK on Oculus Rift, and damn, I would.
Yeah,
seriously, it is outstanding. If I could, I would just walk up to Jeff and go, Jeff, I want to buy Tool right now. I just want to buy the custom controller because they got custom controllers for playing it, and they're just absolutely beautiful, well-made little things, and it just works fantastically well with the VR. TXK is on the Vita is a great enough game as it is. Pair it with the actual VR, and it's the first time where I've actually felt, this is a perfect pairing between game and the new technology. It works. It was just an amazing experience.
Every event I go to and Jeff Minter's there, I kind of harass him, and I wanted to kind of not do so this time, but he kind of recognised me and was like, all right. I was like, hello. So that was pretty cool. But just going back to like pickups and things, at Play Expo, for those people who obviously weren't there, they do have quite a large like traders hall where you can go and buy things, and I did spend quite a bit of money, so I'll just quickly run through the things that I picked up. My girlfriend doesn't listen to this podcast, so I'm okay, to be honest.
Thank goodness.
So I picked up a Retron 5, which I'm really happy with.
Yeah, no, I saw that video and I was like really confused because I thought that was like a lot of people didn't really like it. So did you see something in it that you really wanted?
Just being able to play the Game Boy Advance games in HD and like the Mega Drive stuff. I'm really impressed with it so far. It's got nothing but like negative comments from people who for some reason don't like it.
The big reason had to do with them like making the quote unquote mistake of taking stuff that wasn't supposed to be used in a commercial product, like emulators and stuff like that, and they ended up using it in a product that was, a for-profit product. And that's where a lot of the ill will came from. But a lot of people said that the actual hardware wasn't that great either. But then I've heard it both ways. So I think there's just a lot of ill will because of some of the issues with, software and stuff that they used, and apparently some of it they shouldn't have used. It's a little bit weird. I think a lot of people's like, as you say, ill will towards it is the fact that you can just download an emulator for free onto your PC or Mac and play games, as many games as you want. The thing with that... Yeah, no. But the point is that a lot of the emulators that the Retron 5 actually uses some of those were emulators that people specifically said you cannot use these for
commercial use.
These are for nonprofit stuff only. They're not truly open software stuff. They're you can't use them for So that's what pissed people off. Not the fact that you can use the same emulators on a computer, but the fact that somebody was using emulators that people specifically made with the caveat that you couldn't make money.
That's fair enough. I wasn't aware of that, but as a piece of technology, it runs really, really well. I'm very, very, very impressed with it. Something else I got was a Neo Geo CD, which I've been after for absolutely ages, and I got it for a really good price. Yeah. So Rob came with me and helped me find some decent games as well. I've got Super Sidekicks 2, which is a football soccer game. The King of Fighters 97 and Samurai Showdown 4. I believe that's right. Is it, Rob?
Yeah, well, Samurai Spirits, but yeah.
Sorry, Samurai Spirits, yeah. I do apologise to any Neo Geo fanboys who are listening. It's a great game, fantastic. I also picked up Virtual Racing for the Saturn, which I'm quite a fan of. I had that back in the day. And also Ready to Rumble, just because we didn't have it on the stand and we wanted to play some Ready to Rumble.
Yeah.
Just while we're on the subject of Play Expo Manchester, I did actually get the chance to take part in a mega cast, like a mega podcast between ourselves and a couple of other podcasts from the UK. So I just wanted to say thank you very much to Andy and Benny from the RGDS, that's Retro Gaming Discussion Show, and also the guys from Maximum Power Up, that's Paul and Phil, and also Sean from 10 Pence Arcade. Caleb, I'm sure this doesn't mean anything to you, but in the UK, the retro community is quite sort of tight-knit. So all these different podcasts are quite well known, and it was great just to kind of get together with them all and do this massive Ubercast in the press room, and that's available to download now actually. So yeah, it was great to finally get together with those guys. So yeah, that was Play Manchester, and it was I think it was an outstanding success. Would you agree, Rob?
Totally. Yeah, I had a great time just as a sort of like a punter, just like a guy walking around. I thought that's the great thing with Play. It's got the sort of relaxed, chilled out vibe to it. It's not very it's not very corporate either, not very oppressive. So it's easy to wander around and relax and take a look at the stalls and wander, see some pin. They've always got such an amazing selection of pinball machines there. They even had the Addams Family pinball machine with the electric chair, the one where you hold the two.
Yes.
I mean, it's just great. It's a great event. And from our perspective, loads of people came down. The booth was almost always full of people playing the games, and it was great to talk to everybody.
Yeah, so if you did go, then great. And if you didn't, then if you can get to the next one, then please do. Obviously, distance might be a problem for a lot of people living in the US or in Europe. But it's a really great event, and certainly for me, it's the biggest one of the year and the best. Well done to Replay Events for putting that on. Should we move on, gents?
Yeah.
To the next
Sure.
topic? Cool. Okay. This last couple of days, I have been quite lucky to play a game that many people don't actually know exists for the Dreamcast. It was rumoured back in the day, and there are several screenshots on some websites, but it was cancelled quite early in development for reasons that have never really fully been explained by the developer, and the developer is Codemasters. I'm sure everybody listening to this knows who Codemasters is.
Yeah, and this was a massive exclusive, right, for the Dreamcast Junkyard.
It certainly was, yeah. So basically, a guy that I've been speaking to who used to work for Sega UK, so it's Sega Europe, actually owns the GDR for the Dreamcast version of Colin McRae Rally 2, and he invited me to come and have a look at it, play it, and take some video and just talk to him about the game. And I feel blown away by it because it's a game that I was really looking forward to back in the day when the Dreamcast was current. And then when I heard that it had been cancelled, I was just disappointed because it was something I was really looking forward to. And it was one of those games that I could say to my PlayStation owning friends, here we go, this is what it's all about. We've got a better version of Colin McRae 2 on this system. But then, yeah, when it kind of went quiet and then Codemasters pulled the plug, I was just a bit disappointed. And then to find out that an actual version exists, I mean, it's only 30% complete. And if you've seen the video on the website and read my post, then you'll see that there's not actually a lot to it. It looks like something you would get if you've got a demo disc on the front of a magazine where you've got one track, you've got one car, and it's just a way to experience the game. Then that's literally what you're getting. But it's nice just to know that it actually exists. And all those people who are saying, you need to release it. The reason why it's not been released yet is because the guy who owns it doesn't really know about the legalities of it, because Codemasters still exists as a firm. So, they probably still own Colin McRae Rally 2 for the Dreamcast, even though this disc is...
It's not like we're talking about a company that doesn't exist anymore.
That's very true.
That's the real issue.
The guy, he does have a lot of other games that we will be sort of showing in subsequent weeks where the companies no longer exist. So
tell me when we go off the air, but I'm hoping that Vampire Apocalypse will be one of those games.
But yeah, with Colin McRae Rally, as I say, it's the one track. It's Greece, track 4, I believe, and you get the one car, which is the Focus, and there's a lot of slowdown. And some people have mentioned on the YouTube video that it's when the game is trying to load up the direction arrows and the cockpit co-driver's speech. So the game might be streaming that, and that's why it's slowing down. But just to see it running is fantastic for a game that was thought to be lost and never would see the light of day ever again. Even this 30% complete build is something of a massive bonus for the community.
I watched the video and I read what you wrote, and yeah, I think obviously it's sort of like bittersweet, isn't it? Because it's not as if this is ever going to be anything more than what it is now. It's not as if someone went, this game was 75% complete, the plug got pulled, now it's like abandoned where it's been released, and this dedicated team of guys is now going to bring it, take it over the line 100%, and it's something to look forward to. It's never going to be anything more than quite janky, old-fashioned style demo. I think that's absolutely spot on, because they did used to do that, didn't they? I can remember, it was never slick. The demos you got on those demo discs, it really was often these awful alpha or pre-alpha builds.
Yeah.
And but that's the bitter part. Obviously, the sweet part is actually seeing it running. You see the slowdown, but at 30% complete, that's definitely something that they would have ironed out.
Totally, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say I was disappointed, but I was expecting more of a game. But it's literally, you've got one track, one car, and very minimal options, and that is literally all it got to. That's it.
Yeah.
There's nothing else. So it's not like, there might be a more complete version. There's nothing. That's all there is.
I think what galls as well is that with Colin McRae 2.0, that did get released on the PC, and it got released on the PC and got good scores. And we all know that the Dreamcast, decent scores, but the Dreamcast hardware is, at the time, it was the whole thing with Windows and with PC, and it's a bit disappointing that the Dreamcast one was only 30% complete, yet they somehow managed to release a 100% PC version that then went on to get decent scores. A bit disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, Colin McRae 2 at the time was widely believed to be the best rally game of all time. So to have it on the Dreamcast would have been a massive boost for the console. As I said earlier on, I was so looking forward to it. Rally games are one of my favourite genres of game, and to have this on the Dreamcast, you can play the Dreamcast version of Colin McRae Rally 1 and 2 quite easily on the Dreamcast. They're one of the few games that works almost perfectly.
Okay,
it's just not the same as having an actual Dreamcast version. Yeah. I mean, Caleb, I don't know what your thoughts on this whole thing are.
I have many thoughts, but none that I'm willing to share right now.
Fair enough. I've spoke to the guy quite extensively over the last couple of days about potentially releasing the game, and he's in the position where he's not entirely sure of the legalities, and he doesn't actually own the disc. It's a friend who owns the disc, so maybe in the future, maybe we'll see what happens.
Oh, I'm sure you've talked to that person a lot, Tom.
Conspiracies abound. Conspiracies abound.
I find it very interesting that you just happen to come across all this information.
No, go. No, leave. Get up. All right, okay, he's gone. I'm sorry, Tom.
Thank you. Perfect man management there. So yeah, that's Colin McRae Rally 2 for the Dreamcast. Please be aware that there are more games that we are going to showcase on the Dreamcast Junkyard.
We're going to be some more games.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm assuming this is something that nobody's ever seen before, right?
Some of them I've never seen before, and I was quite blown away.
It's very exciting. It's weird that more of this stuff, I mean, it's so weird that like this just hasn't come up at all. It's just so exciting. Even like this many years afterwards, we're still seeing new stuff crop up. It's all very exciting.
It is, and it also makes me wonder what else we've not seen. I mean, because this is one guy, so how many other people who are in his position have got similar, stuff in their possession? It's just, it takes this amount of time for this stuff to come to the surface, because it's that long after the fact that nobody's going to get legal things brought against them for releasing them. Out of respect, I have kind of kept the guy's identity anonymous because that's what he asked for. So we'll see what happens in the future. Maybe these games will get released. So yeah, just keep an eye on the site and on the different forums and groups and things, and we'll see what happens, what transpires in the near future.
Awesome.
I think we've spoken enough about that. I thought we should quickly move on to our next discussion point, and that was, I was thinking the other day about games that, obviously we've been talking about games that never came out, but I was also thinking about games that are available but that we've never personally experienced, and for whatever reason, maybe they're too expensive, or they're too they're too rare, or there's language concerns. Maybe a Japanese game. I don't know. If one of you guys wants to sort of kick off, there's certainly one game that I really want to play, but I've never had the chance to. So I don't know, Rob, is there anything that you wanted to talk about first?
The big one for me is Sega Gaga. And there's two reasons. Like, Tom, you'll know, Kayla, I'm sure you know, but if you don't know, Sega Gaga is a simulation game for the Dreamcast that was released quite late on in the Dreamcast lifespan. Jap-only release. And it's essentially a simulation where you play a new graduate who is hired by the Sega in the game to come to their studio and make games, essentially. It breaks the fourth wall. It's an amazing game, really, because it's like Sega knew that they were in the bin financially. And then they go and produce this game where they basically go, yeah, we're financially in the bin, and maybe you could help us out by coming and actually making virtual games, which... they're never going to actually help the real company, but do you see what I mean? It's this weird mind trip where it's like... but the problem with it is, as I said, is one, it was a Jap-only release. It's a simulation game, so you need to know really good Japanese to get through it, essentially. But secondly, I probably would have had a crack at it because I know a bit of Japanese. But the other big problem, the price, which even for the standard edition... is quite ridiculous. The standard edition, last time I checked, was around 70, 80 pounds. So do the math there. But really, is that just for the standard version? Because I know there's a collector's version as well, isn't there, with a T-shirt and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, and that you've just taken it out of my mouth, Tom. The thing is that I'm not like a collector mad. All I have to buy is the collector's editions. But with this game, because of its sort of not mythology, but because of this uniqueness, the fact that it came out late, the fact that it was almost a cry for help from what I can see from Sega. It was like, well, obviously they never intended anyone to play that game actually come up with any sort, because that's not actually how the game works. It's not feeding any information back to Sega. But the fact that they make a game about Sega being basically bankrupt and about you being this young, guy who is essentially going to save the company, breaking the fourth wall completely.
Do you know what it sounds like to me? Sorry, Rob. It sounds to me like, have you ever heard that book that O.J. Simpson wrote called How I Would Have Done It? Which is basically, it's how he would have committed the crime that he's accused of committing. And it's just like, why would you do that? Why would you write a book like that? It's like, here's how I would have carried out the perfect crime for a crime that I've been accused of. It's just crazy. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
I think that's I think that's a pretty decent analogy. Like, why would you hang a lantern on the fact that your business is about to absolutely implode? So that uniqueness about it means that I would want the collector's edition. And of course, the collector's edition is ridiculously expensive. Last time I looked, you're looking at £200 plus for the collector's edition, which, as you say, Tom, I can't remember all the contents, but there's like a T-shirt, isn't there, and key rings and various other bits and bobs.
I remember a couple of years ago, Aaron wrote on the site of a translation project that was going on, like the Sega Gaga translation project, to bring it to a wider audience, but that's since kind of gone cold. And
it must be a monstrous job.
Yeah. I mean, interesting. I did read an article recently about the making of Sega Gaga and how it actually got funded. And it was basically a small team who put this idea to Sega, and they were like, yeah, you can do it if you want, but we're not going to kind of like fund it. And it was like it was a real struggle to actually get it made. Did you read it as well, Caleb? Do you know what I mean? Are you talking?
I read all those articles, and I actually went to the couple websites that were trying to make up the different fan translation projects for it. Mm-hmm. It's very interesting. I'm actually on the page right now that's listing all the different pun titles that they came up with, including the best pun, Ace Wombat 2. Ah, so
nice. Ace Wombat. Yeah, there's a couple of similar things in Fur Fighters, where it's like a Resident Weevil. They've got games in this shop that you go into in one of the levels, and there's like weird game titles on the shelves. But yeah, Sega Gaga, that's an interesting one. What about you, Caleb? Is there anything that you've thought about playing but never have?
Oh boy, see, there's this one Japanese survival horror game, and the guy's wearing like blue combat shorts and stuff, and there was supposed to be another translation thing for that, and for the life of me, I can't remember the name, and I can't find any of my links for it. This was years ago, and that literally is the only Dreamcast game that I have not played that I wanted to play. Everything else,
if you can help us with that description, then please let us know.
I'm sure with a little Googling I could find it too. But yeah, no, it's from Propeller Arena to Shenmue 2 to all these other games. Like, I pretty much have anything that I want on the Dreamcast. I could play it. And there's, I'm not really willing, unfortunately, at this point in time to spend any real money to try to build my collection up beyond what it is right now. But yeah, no, I pretty much have everything. I have a lot of, I have a lot of the fighters and the Japanese versions of those and all that stuff. So, yeah, I'm pretty well set.
My selection for this particular part of the podcast would be Gundam Side Story 0079.
I have never played that.
No, I believe it did come out in the US.
Yeah, no, I've tried playing that game a bunch of times. It's awesome, but then you get to the point about 5 minutes in where just sniping people with a machine gun doesn't work anymore, and I need to know how to play the game beyond that.
Yeah, it's a game that really intrigued me because I was a big fan of like Gun Griffin on the Sega Saturn. I'd love mech games. I think there's nothing cooler to me than being in a massive mech, just like laying waste to like a battlefield. That's why I love Gun Griffin so much. And this game, Gundam Side Story, the Japanese version comes up a hell of a lot on eBay, but the US version never comes up. And the US version has got English text, obviously, English language. And it's just something I really want to play because apparently the graphics are phenomenal and the story itself is really engaging.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing game that I keep on trying to get into. I am just personally, for some reason, when it comes to giant robots in video games, I am terrible at them, and I've never been good at any of them. But no, it is a great game, and it's definitely one of those games that I've tried playing numerous times, and I might have to put it in there during my next live stream and try it again.
I'm looking at some images of this now, and the graphics look amazing. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's quite thick fog of war, clipping fog, but the actual models look really impressive. Actually.
Yeah, there's a lot of is there a lot of like cartoon sequences as well, and like FMVs and things that are actually from the Gundam series. Am I getting that wrong, or is that correct, Caleb?
I don't remember there being that many of them. I remember it's a lot of like the portrait talking and stuff like that.
Yeah. In the UK, certainly the only like mech game that I can think of that we got was Slave Zero, which is not actually a mech game. It's basically an over-the-shoulder shoot 'em up. So to be actually in the physical cockpit, that's one of the things that I really liked about stuff like Thunderhawk on the Sega Mega CD and on the Sega Saturn and PlayStation, was the kind of the cockpit view where you were like this enclosed claustrophobic pilot in this like powerful weapon of war, which is what that game Gundam actually like brings. And there's nothing else that I can actually relate to in the PAL library. You've got things like Star Lancer and Bang Gunship Elite, that kind of thing, but actual physicality of being a big mechanical being on a planet, just destroying stuff. That's really what I was looking for, and unfortunately, we never got it here in the UK. So quite sad, but that's the game I was hoping for, but never came. And never know. One day I might get it. If you're listening to this and you've got it, then get in touch.
Yeah, I only have the one copy, so otherwise I'd send you one. But I'll go through my collection again.
No, I wouldn't expect you to send me your only copy. That's so. We've had quite a good selection of games there.
On a side note, I did find the name of the game, and it is a Japanese game with a Japanese name. So I'm not going to attempt to repeat the actual name, but it is on Racket Boy's article about the survival horror games on the Sega Dreamcast. So once again, thank you, Racket Boy, for hosting a lot of great information.
Thank you to Racket Boy.
Here's a quick synopsis. Regina and Key attempt to visit their friend Dr. Ernest McPherson at his research institute on a small island. Both when they arrive, they discover their friend is nowhere to be found, and strange monsters are running loose. And the guy is actually wearing blue camo shorts and a blue camo jacket. So he is just very styling for the early 1900s.
Yeah, so definitely what they were wearing around the turn of the century. The next topic is that...
Let's do it.
Yeah. The next one we're going to talk about is the fact that, or very briefly, we're going to talk about the fact that the book that, well, I say book, the PDF that Mike Phelan wrote for the Dreamcast Junkyard, it's the Ultimate Collector's Guide. We're actually going to be turning it into a physical book. It's an updated version, and we've got a publisher, printer. We've got a cover, which has been made by Phil Hockaday from the Maximum Power Up podcast. He's actually a graphic designer. And yeah, we're going to be looking to do a test run in the next week or so. So we'll have about 25 copies of it for people to purchase. It's nothing special. It's not one of these coffee table books where it's just full of images or anything. It's literally a list of every game that's ever been released for the Dreamcast in every territory, complete with the serial numbers, the different variations between versions. It's, as the name suggests, it's a collector's guide. It's for the people who are hardcore collectors who want to see what the difference is between, say, a North American and Japanese release of the same game.
Or the difference between Seaman and Christmas, the Christmas
exactly,
version.
Yeah. And not only that, but there's also, at the beginning of the book, there's a little chapter that explains all the different like budget releases in the US and in Japan. We never got any budget releases here in the UK, but in Japan and in the US, there was several different re-releases of certain games. So this is an actual... I'm so impressed with the amount of work he's put in. He's been working on this for 4 years, Mike, and it's about time that people saw this and actually were able to enjoy the amount of work he's put into it.
Let me just give you an example. I'd like to say that outside of I've only ever seen a list of this or as a resource of this sort of intensity almost, this accuracy once before, and that was for the Neo Geo, which had like cardboard numbers and everything, and pictures as well of like official boards, so you knew that you were getting something legit. But like the detail is amazing. Like I've got it open in front of me, and just for example, Biohazard Code Veronica, you've got all the different versions listed, but then underneath, excellent detail. I'll literally just read you this. It gives you a taste of what you get. It says, the Japanese release of Resident Evil Code Veronica, limited release, comes in a red slipcase and comes with a small red box containing a metal card. This was for those who had pre-ordered the game. The Japan O release is listed as other due to the fact that it is in fact a slightly different version of the game, equivalent of the Game of the Year editions that the West now gets. Therefore, it contains new FMVs and a different packaging.
That is incredible. The amount of detail.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I will have to double check my version because I have the red slipcase thing. And so I think I might actually have the re-release and not the actual special edition. So I'm already learning stuff already about my
it's like
collection.
for every game, there's like a little passage about how the different versions differ. And it's just incredible. So it's about time that we put this out into the public domain. And I'm just quite thankful to Mike for choosing us as the team that we're going to put it out. It's going to be branded as the Dreamcast Junkyard Ultimate Collector's Guide, written by Mike Phelan. I've also written a little foreword as well for it. And it should be available certainly in the next couple of weeks. If you're listening to this as it comes out, obviously if you listen to this a couple of years in the future, then obviously it'll already be available. But it's really exciting times.
Yeah, I'm not joking. Like, I know that this is coming from the Dreamcast Junkyard, but if you are serious about collecting any territory or all territories, then this is essential. The detail is insane, and you've even got little boxes, so you can even tick them off as you pick them up.
One of the most impressive parts of the book, something I've written about previously on the Junkyard, is that he's created a full list of every Japanese title and then graded them on how playable they are for English speakers. And I just think that's such an amazing resource. That doesn't exist anywhere on the internet. There's no list anywhere on the internet that tells you how accessible a game is going to be other than in this book. It's incredible.
I'll have to see what he rated Baldur 4 CXE, because that game was just a button masher, as in you just press the A button to pass hours of cutscenes.
Just if you haven't read anything about it, that Tom's already written about it, it also includes it's got an unlicensed game section, so all your aftermarket stuff is covered as well.
Yeah, even right up to the date, even to the point where it's got things in like the Ghostblade, and even games that are not even...
Alice Dreams
Tournament is included. All the games that are actually announced but have not actually come out yet are actually in that book. It's cutting edge. It's right up to date. And, in the future, he is hoping to release a second edition with like hardware revisions and peripherals and things. So it's going to get bigger and better. It's phenomenal.
Keep your eyes peeled essentially on the yard, because when did you say, Tom, next couple of weeks?
Yeah, next couple of weeks, definitely. Certainly within the next fortnight. Yeah, we need to get the PDF and the images to the publisher to print up. But we're going to do like a small initial run and see what the take up is from the community. But if they fly off the shelves, fly out of the box, then we'll get a bigger batch done, and hopefully this will be the go-to list for the Dreamcast community, because that's what we're all about, supporting the community and helping people to complete their collections,
Totally.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, I think we've waffled on enough. And Rob, I'm very aware that you need to dart off and do like real world things.
Yeah, sorry,
no problem at all. You've been listening to the, as I said at the start of the episode, the world's #1 Dreamcast podcast called the Dream Pod. I don't want to put anything else on that. But Rob, you're on Twitter at
R. Nicholas J.
Caleb, you're on Twitter, but nobody knows who you are, so we'll...
Yes, I am on YouTube at Blandco. Blandco.
I will say that I did watch quite a few of your videos the other day, and I quite enjoyed the one with the chicken leg.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, that's because I fell off my porch and landed about 6 feet down on concrete, and I ended up elbowing the thing of chicken wings I was carrying. and I sustained no damage. I literally fell from a height of 6 feet directly onto concrete. But the chicken wings, I completely elbowed them on my way down, and they took the brunt of the fall.
Well, it's good to know that you're actually okay, and the chicken wings took the most of the damage. Excellent. I'm on Twitter at Tom Lee C. As a collective, we're also on Twitter at Sega Junkyard, and I'm sure you already know this, but we're on Facebook. It's facebook.com/The Dreamcast Junkyard. We also have a group. Please feel free to join that. And we're also on the World Wide Web at www.thedreamcastjunkyard.co.uk. One other thing, please, if you like what you've heard, go onto iTunes and just give us a review. 5-star, 1-star, it doesn't really matter. But in order to get more followers and get more promotion, we need people to actually review us.
Yeah, totally.
And so, please feel free to go and do that. And we give massive thanks if you do. But I think we'll draw a line under it there. And just say, thanks for listening. Is there anything else either of you two guys want to say? Deafening silence. That'll be a no then. All it leaves us to say is thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Dream Pod. Goodbye.
See you later.
Bye.
Please stop this disc now.